Thanks for listening to Live Forever Young Radio. On the show today, we are talking to Hilary Russo. She is an award-winning journalist, transformational holistic health coach, havening techniques practitioner, and all-around wellness warrior who helps purpose-driven minds transform to perform and be kind to their minds at the same time. In this first episode, we will be talking about her Hug It Out program and how it can help transform your mind. So sit back, relax, and get ready to live forever young.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Live Forever Young Radio. I'm Bob. I'm here with Raleigh and our very special guest, Hilary Russo, today. Hello, Hilary and Raleigh. How y'all doing?
Hello, gentlemen, and hello to all the listeners. What's new and good?
Doing great. We're happy to be here. I'm excited.
Good.
Got Hilary on, and I'm really excited to hear what she has to say today.
And I see you guys synced up your colors of your garb. Raleigh's got his yellow hat. Hilary's got her yellow dress. So I guess we're ready to go. Hilary, so thank you so much for making time to come on here with us. There's so many different things that we can talk about. You are an accomplished practitioner on many different levels. So it's hard to decide where to start, but we know you have this really amazing program that you refer to as Hugs or Hug It Out. Mm-hmm. And we were wondering if you might start telling us a little bit about that. And as we go, you can tell us things about yourself, how you got into the Hug It Out program that you created, how you got into havening, how you got into holistic nutrition and life coaching. So we'll get a chance to go into all of those things. But how about we start with the one that sounds most compelling, which is the Hug It Out program.
Thank you so much. I'm glad it sounds compelling, that I'm doing something right?
Absolutely.
I appreciate that. So Hug It Out is a signature system that I created. And basically, with the work that I've been doing for quite some time in the field of holistic mental health and holistic health in general, I realized that it's not about what's happening outside of us that really matters most. It's what's happening within. And so Hug It Out is actually an acronym for the word hug, which is healing, understanding, and gratitude. And if you don't have those three essential things that you're focusing on within about your own healing, about having an understanding for who you are, your essence, your purpose, and also having a deep appreciation and gratitude for the person that you are and what you're putting out in this world, how in the world can you show up for others in that way? So Hug It Out is almost like, we've heard that phrase before, right? Oh, you get into a kerfuffle with somebody and somebody comes along and goes, why don't you two just hug it out, right? Just bygones be bygones. But the thing is, the person we never do that with is ourself. The self-doubt, the depreciation, the imposter syndrome, all of those things show up, and we are not hugging it out with ourselves first. So this system that I created is in alignment with those three pillars, but it goes much deeper because it is really about empowering you. It's not me empowering you. It's giving you the tools, being the guide by your side, to give you the tools to empower yourself, to heal yourself, because again, I don't have that kind of control. The only person I can do that with is myself. But being the guide by your side, it's giving you a gift and a reminder and mirroring back at you what you sometimes don't see in yourself. And that's really the true power of having a practitioner or a coach by your side, to be able to do that and to see the transformations and the shifts from the clients that I support is really quite beautiful. And by the way, anything I do, I'm a guinea pig for my own work. And I think that's really important. Mm-hmm. So that's truly, in a nutshell, what Hug It Out is. And I think it goes along beautifully with the work I do in havening, because as you've talked about on your show, as I talk about all the time as a practitioner of the work, hugs are very important because hugs are also oxytocin being released. It's the happy hormone. It's the love hormone. And that is part of my system, is bringing in the power of the havening technique so that you are truly showing yourself that love, and then you can go from there.
Awesome. So tell us just a little bit more about the Hugs program. So if somebody was engaging with you and they received your beautiful workbook and they were listening to you, for one of your 14-day events, what would they experience? Like, what types of things would you be presenting to them? What types of exercises? And most importantly, what kind of feedback are you getting in regard to how people feel while they're going through the program and making their improvements?
Yeah. So I had a Hug It Out challenge that I recently did. And the thing that I love to share is that no 2 days are ever the same. No two clients are ever the same. No two sessions with the same client is ever the same, right? So in a nutshell, when I did the Hug It Out challenge, we basically covered a lot of areas in general, because I can't support thousands of people who are tuning in an intimate way, but I can give them little tools of what you might see within a deeper program working with me one-on-one, or if we're at a workshop. But there are a number on the challenge you're talking about specifically. The first step to any change is awareness. That is first and foremost. For you to realize that something is a little off kilter in your life, you need to realize that a change is needing to happen. And the three approaches that I use, really, I call it the triple A's, is you need to be in a state of awareness first, and then you move into a state of allowing. You need to allow yourself to say, okay, this doesn't feel right. I'm going to allow myself to look into this possibility. And then you move into that state of alignment. Once you start allowing it, once you're aware of it, aligning with that new way of being is where the changes really start to happen. And then it becomes this beautiful flowing thing. But also having that support of somebody like myself gives you the ability to move forward and let the trajectory of things continue. Because sometimes after we're done with these challenges, these workshops, these programs out there, you sit there and you're like, the last day, it almost feels like the last day of camp. And you're like, oh, I got to go back to school, or now I got to practice, and you don't have any support. And that's where it comes into working with me, because you're learning all my approaches, you're learning my techniques, you're learning what I put into it. And so going back to that, first, there's the step of awareness, right? Declaring what you want in your life to change. Once you declare it and put it out there, you're manifesting it, because you're changing your mindset, which is so important. Mindset is so important, connecting with it. You can be wishful thinking everything. I want the relationship. I want the job. I want the home, whatever it is that you're thinking about. If you're not truly connecting with it and aligning and calibrating with it, you can't psych yourself out, because the brain is conditioned to go to the negative anyway. So what I'm working to do is to get you to change your thoughts, moods, behaviors, and habits, and really create a new space for the neuroplasticity in your brain, which we need to give more credit to our brain, that it is something that can be changed. And then you're going into the words that you use towards yourself. That's really important. It's not having a clear understanding that the words we use and choose do matter, not only towards others, but truly ourselves. So there's the element of going through word choices, understanding yourself better, getting in a frame of mind that even if a word sounds like it's positive, if it's used in a negative connotation, it could completely throw you off kilter, right? And then it's affirming those things that you want to happen, affirming things that you want to happen in your life. And of course, I bring in the havening technique, because that's really my jam of my practice, being one of only 700 to 800 in the world now. There's only that many practitioners, and I'm one of the first 150. I take that really seriously, especially being so closely associated with the co-founding doctors and knowing them personally. This is a gift I want to give people that you can do every day. You can self-apply, which is really beautiful. It's a modality that you can do that with. And then moving into the space where it's all about choice. You choose to choose. And it really comes down to working specifically with me. Each person, like I said, is different. It's all bio-individuality. Each session is different. And you can show up in a happy-go-lucky mood one day, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't be working on yourself just because you're in a state of joy. It means be in a more state of joy, right? So that's about the appreciation, moving into the hug it out. At that point, you start realizing that it really is an inner healing journey, an understanding of yourself, and having that appreciation and gratitude. And then we keep moving into the system, and without going through everything, it's understanding your core values, your essence of who you are. We go through that. I have a really beautiful name game program that really lets you break down, you're given a name, I'm given a name, but what does your name really mean to you? And it's creating core values around the name that's used every day to identify you. That's one of my favorite things to do, that I actually started to do with my students at St. John's University, because I was college professor there for over 10 years. And it was a way to break the ice with these new kids showing up, having to be on camera, feeling uncomfortable, having stage fright. And that moved into my client work. A lot of stuff I tested out with my students, I use with my clients, because man, that is a group that is a tough group to get appreciation from, are those 18 to 22-year-olds, And then from all that, gentlemen, you get into that state of allowing, moving into the allowance, releasing and letting go, surrendering your story, your agenda, what you think is supposed to happen in your life isn't necessarily the best thing to happen in your life. So when we surrender, that is truly where manifestation can happen in your life. And I don't mean that on a woo-woo sense. I mean that truly. Things change in your life when you let them go and release them and surrender it, and realize everything comes to you at the exact time it needs to. We hold on to things really deeply. And that's something I really work with my clients. There's a side to me that's the empathetic coach. And then there's the side that's the tough coach. There's a balance there as a practitioner in the work that I do. And I want to show up for people where they need me the most. And then beautifully, you move into that state of alignment, which I call the perfect now. We tend to forget of these moments that are happening right now. Sitting here with the both of you, being able to have the gift of communication and conversation is a perfect now. We get so caught up with the negative that we forget about the now. And it's like I said, all of this is creating the space, creating the mindset, and then you move into that state of that shift and stay. And then having the support with someone like myself, obviously with Hug It Out, it is me because it's my program, where you can truly find the balance and maintain it in the most beautiful and authentic way.
That's really great. It's really beautiful, Hilary.
Thank
Hilary,
you.
in regard to the surrendering, is there a specific techniques you use to help people surrender? Because people love the status quo, right? They'll hang on to it, even if it's causing them pain, whether it's physical pain. A lot of people won't make any choices or changes until something becomes acute, and they'll live with a pain in their shoulder or a pain in their knee for 10, 15, 20 years and not do anything about it until it's time for a knee replacement, right? Whereas if they had done something earlier, but that's just humans. We tend not to change things until it's really painful. But if people are doing work with you, it's not necessarily they're in pain. They might be joyful, but they want to continue their evolution. So how do you get them to surrender their old self so they can become the new?
Yeah.
I love this question, because I actually just was with a client yesterday that was going through some physical pain. And this is something she has been dealing with for quite some time. And I totally get it, because I'm one of the reasons why I really took a deep dive into this work was from my own chronic pain from TMJ surgery. I had TMJ surgery when I was 15 years old. It was probably one of the most painful things I went through. I had no idea what I was going through. And so I use these tools with myself every day, but with this client specifically, a perfect example of this and how it really works for her, and many that I hold space for, is that creating mantras that work for you, I think they have to be very fine-tuned to who you are, right? I don't cookie cutter boilerplate anything. I really spend a lot of time and attention with each person. But I think what needs to happen, and this can kind of be an overall, a starting point, is realizing that your body has the ability to heal itself. And a lot of times, if you're waking up in pain, if using that as an example, is to take a moment to sit back and realize you can't be in calm when you're in chaos, right? The worst is over, as we say. And again, using the words, the worst is over, and being able to sit there and say, all is well, all is well, like deep breaths, because that activates the parasympathetic nervous system, right? When you deep breathe and just calm yourself down a little bit, releasing some of those happy chemicals and hormones in the brain, and give yourself the space to sit back and kind of imagine. What I love to do is I share with my folks to just kind of imagine from the crown of your head going down to your tip of your toes, that some really healing energy of light is nurturing parts of your body that need it the most, right? That goes back to hugging it out, right? Giving yourself the healing. Imagine it, whatever, maybe it's a color that looks healing. And obviously I bring this in more powerfully with havening, because that puts you in that delta wave state and allows you to kind of change the landscape of the brain, or does rather. But saying things like all is well, I am healthy and strong, I have the tools. I am statements are probably the most powerful things you could possibly say to yourself. There are no words more powerful than I am. It's what follows that messes us up, right? So when you fill in that blank with I am strong, I am healing, I am on a journey that is making me stronger, I choose, even is a good word. The words that follow are so dynamic and powerful. So it's very important to choose the right words that follow I am.
Yeah, I think at that point, your subconscious is really tuned in. So you want to make sure you're saying the right thing, because if it misunderstands, then you've not helped yourself. You've went backwards, right?
Right. Like I am in pain is likely going to cause you more pain. And I am not saying avoid the pain, because look, I understand it myself, but change the words to I am in a moment of discomfort, but my body is healing, right? Words like pain versus discomfort are very different, right? If you are in excruciating pain, if there is an excruciating, or whether it's physical or emotional, maybe you went through a breakup and you're feeling the pain of that. I get it. I understand it. Feel it. A lot of times people try to eliminate the feeling. You can't do that. This is part of the process, is to feel and to know where it's coming from. Why are you feeling this way? And those are the kind of things I really love sharing and holding space for my clients, is understanding where it's coming from. Is that pain coming from a deeper trauma, abandonment from something from childhood, an accident that you might have had, like in the situation with my client, the fear of the pain came from something that happened much earlier in her life, and being in a space of fear that it could happen again.
Right.
Your brain hates the uncertainty, right? Your brain would rather go to a negative space than face uncertainty. So it's up to you to bring it to a state of certainty that all is well. Everything is happening for the highest good. I'm safe. I'm protected. I trust all is well, and simple things like that. So I love to fine tune and create mantras with my clients.
Yeah.
That become their own.
Yes.
Paste it up on the board, put it on your phone so you can look at it, memorize it so it just comes out of you like a sonnet,
Becomes the new you. Or you become the mantra.
Oh, correct.
Yeah.
Mantras are very powerful.
Yeah. Very good.
And so when you first created the Hug It Out program, how long ago was that? And like, what gave you the inspiration, and how'd you get the acronym? Tell us how that was all created.
Oh, because I love a good hug.
Amen.
I was already working in the field of neuroscience and holistic health and havening and as a practitioner. And I think part of it was just knowing the power. I mean, I work with a lot of children too, and knowing that we need to be embraced, knowing the power of that love hormone and the physical touch. Touch is essential for our emotional and physical well-being, emotional especially. And seeing over time how you are impacted when just a hand touches your arm to say, all is well, worst is over, everything's okay. Or picking up a child when they fall and skin their knee, and all they need to be just hugged and said, everything's okay. And I realized it wasn't just about the outward. Why are we not doing this for ourselves? I have been in a state of negative self-talk and doubt and imposter syndrome. And when I started turning around and realizing this is not helping me, it was when I started creating that. And it's been a couple years now that the actual Hug It Out system came about. And I keep building on it. That's the beauty of it. I think there are a lot of people out there in the coaching world that see the value and continuously bettering whatever they're doing, because things change. It's the ones that take the courses, get the certifications, don't do anything, have the same thing over and over, and never do work on themselves are the ones I question, but
it becomes mechanical and a lot less like what you were saying.
Right.
You like to take the time to, and in general, if you're a good practitioner, you want to take the time to not cookie cutter anything, because just like we talk about with our supplements, everybody's body's different, and what they're going to respond to, it might not be the same and work the way it did for this person here. So to take a cookie cutter approach and try to do that is not beneficial. It could be more detrimental than anything. Yeah. And, one of the things that we found working with all these people and helping them with, their issues is that it really does take a lot of self-discovery. We have people that come in and say, oh, I've tried every health supplement in the world and I still feel like crap and nothing works for me. And that's where we kind of get on to that question of, well, maybe we need to look deeper. Maybe your body is still responding to something that you don't even realize it's responding to, like the traumas that you were mentioning. People, a lot of the time, they don't want to feel that, right? They want to kind of, okay, it happened and move on, and not really be in that moment of, well, what did it do? What did it do to me? Or what could it affect me in the future? A lot of people never think about that. And so then when they're having issues, it's, well, I don't know what's wrong with me. I'm a bad person. And so that's something we've ran into a lot, especially when people, like, just in the physical sense, well, I took this and it's not working. You said it works for everybody. Well, A, we never say anything works for everybody, because it just doesn't. And then B, sometimes those people, they just need to have their focus turned to, well, maybe we need to look internally. And then Bob and I talk a lot about like craniosacral therapy, ways to pull out and relive these traumas in a healthy environment with professionals. Like you say, you don't want to do this with people that doesn't know what's going on. It could actually make it worse. You could get into a state of trauma that you can't get out of. Right. So these are the things that I can connect to. And I believe that is exactly why Havening and the things that we're talking about with the Hug It Out can really help people to realize that alone is a huge step.
And part of that is also, one thing I always say, the best coaches have coaches, the best practitioners have practitioners. I don't really want to go to a doctor or a practitioner or a therapist or hire a coach that isn't working on themselves. We are works in progress from the day we're born to the day we die, and who knows what happens after that, right? And on top of that, going back to what you're saying, in the integrative nutrition world, as a holistic health coach, we call it bioindividuality. No thing is going to be the same for another person, and diving deeper is really important. And by the way, like, I think the word trauma has become kind of a buzzword. Everyone's using it, and there are so many different, and it can be very scary to hear that, because there are big T's and little T's in the trauma world. And we've all experienced some kind of traumatic event or trauma, and sometimes it impacts us differently. But when you don't face those upsets, we'll call them upsets if it's not a trauma, if you're not comfortable with that. Okay. Not even diving into it and building, it's not about getting rid of it. You never get rid of those things. You build relationships with it. You learn how to manage it. You understand where it's coming from. So when it shows up, you know how to say, oh, okay, let's steer things in this direction. Or, oh, I gotcha. I know where that's coming from. And that's what empowers you when you realize you have control over that by releasing control. The true control is releasing the control.
That is a really good way to think about it.
Yeah.
So Hilary, in the creation of the Hug It Out program, you came to that partly through your experience with havening.
Yeah.
Right. And I assume when people engage with you, you use havening, you teach them how to take care of themselves with havening when they've engaged with you. But before we start talking about havening, if someone wanted to get in touch with you in regard to working together with you for the Hug It Out program, what's the best way for them to get in touch with you?
Sure. I mean, I love talking about this and sharing this with folks. And you can go to my website at hilaryrusso.com/havening, and there is a link to book a one-on-one complimentary havening session with me. I know you guys are also going to share a link, because it's a weird link once you actually go to the booking link. But if you just go to hilaryrusso.com/havening, you'll see a link where you can book a free Hug It Out session with me. And that, I think, is the most important thing. And it's a gift I want to give people, because many people might not know what havening is. And my desire is really to put it on the map and help it get out there, because it is neuroscience based. It is a beautiful modality that I use in my own practice and in my own life, by the way, numerous times a day. So it's just allowing people to see, right? Being aware something needs to change and allowing themselves the gift of trying it one-on-one with me. I used to not do that. I used to just have, let's talk about your health concerns, and if you want to sign up for a havening session. But I want to give people a taste of what it's like to actually experience it by working with me, because you leave differently.
Tune into the next episode, where we will hear Hilary's first encounter with havening and how it changed her life, and how you can learn this amazing technique. Thanks for listening to Live Forever Young Radio. Check us out at liveforeveryoungradio.com.